see them all too light. I just want to reach them all through Christ. I think we would all like to see the youth do right. And fishing is the mission, but you keep missing, cause you only fish with food that you like.
50% of Americans have less than 1 month's income saved for a rainy day. The average student loan debt for the class of 2016 was $37,172. Americans collectively owe more than $1.4 trillion on student loans. Only 30% of Americans have a long-term financial plan that includes savings and investment goals. 19% have zero saved for emergencies. The average household is $136,000 in debt. The average credit card debt that every individual has is over $16,000. The average auto loan is over $28,000. Now there's a money issue in our society. And if we hone in on the African American community, nearly 1/3 of black families have no family wealth. Nearly 1 out of 3 black families live in poverty compared to 1 out of 10 white families. 4 in 10 black households have less than $1,000 in net worth. Blacks have higher debt delinquencies than any other ethnic group. Blacks have comparatively lower savings than any other ethnic group. Blacks have a greater incidence of home foreclosures than any other ethnicity group. A greater incidence of predatory lending. A greater incidence of higher cost auto and consumer loans than any other ethnicity. There are a lot of people in the African American community, but not only African American community, there's a lot of people, period, in our community with financial problems. And I'm not just talking about those that have low incomes or no incomes. In fact, there are many who are in deep trouble, who have substantial incomes that are headed in the wrong direction. It doesn't matter who you are. No one is so rich that they can ill afford to manage God's money God's way. Interestingly enough, the Bible has over 2,000 passages of scripture that talk about money. 15% of everything Jesus said has to deal with money and possessions. And I'm convinced that the reason the Lord said so much about money is because he loves us and he wants us to handle it in the smartest way. And I know it can be an uncomfortable subject, especially in the church house. So we're going to have the greeters lock the doors right now. Growing up, we didn't have a whole lot of money. We didn't have a whole lot of stuff. We lived in a housing project. My mother was a single mother parent. She raised 8 kids in a 2-bedroom housing project in New Orleans, Louisiana. We didn't have air, we didn't have car, but we made way. I didn't know we were poor because she always made sure we had everything we needed, but that was just Lord's blessing. And every Christmas we would get gifts. And at that time, as you know, there were no iPhones, iPads, PlayStation, all that video stuff. We just didn't have it. And so we would get board games. And we would get the same board games every year. Because see, as we went throughout the course of the year, we lost a part here, we lost a piece here, we lost that. So throw that in the trash, and next year come around, we go up underneath the tree and we open it, we already know what the box is going to say. The element of surprise was gone. We open the box number 1, Candyland. Box number 2, Monopoly. Box number 3, Operation. Y'all remember that? Box number 4, Sorry. Then there was box number 5, was the one I enjoyed opening. It's a game called Life. That was one of my favorites. Because you see, life gave me the opportunity to experience a different life. See, I mentioned to you where I came from, we just didn't have anything. And everybody around us, nobody had anything, so we all was the same boat. But in the game of life, you get an opportunity to make a lot of decisions and choices. You know, you start off by getting a lot of money from the banker, and the banker would give everybody $10,000, so I had 10,000 colorful dollars in my possession. So I felt rich. And then after that, I would choose a vehicle that I would drive around the board. And I'm very focused, and so I always get the best, nicest vehicle because I was very intimidating when I played that game. I was good. I was fine telling. And I would navigate through that board, and I would land on this career, I would land on that, buy a house, and I would buy real estate, and I would invest in this and that and the other. My goal was to get to the finish line with the most money. Because that was the objective of the game. Whoever gets to the finish line every retirement when the most money wins. And anybody knows me know I don't like to lose. And so I played that game with tenacity to get to the finish line, to retire, hold up my hands and get all the money. And I won many times, and I had plenty of money. But you know something about that game? Like every game, it always comes to an end. And at the end of that game, you know what happens? Everything that I thought was possessions went back in the box. My car went back in the box. My house went back in the box. My money went back in the box. And after everything went back in the box, the top was closed on the box. And that was a sad moment for me. Because everything I felt I worked for, it all went back in the box. You know, in this game of real life, all of this stuff we're chasing behind, we can't take it with us. And see, what we do is a lot of people need all this stuff behind. So we have to get to the point in our lives where we stop spending God's resources on so much stuff.